tractor and equipment collection, because 2 months ago I didn't have any Alzheimer's, anything, and now I seem to have quite a pile of it. What's up, guys? We're back out here in the shop. Surprise, surprise. We got this buggy in here again. We got the broken parts up here on the table. If you haven't watched the previous videos on this this project, go ahead and watch them. Anyways, we got to get all this stuff off this shaft that's broken. We got a whole bunch of new parts over here, some for this project, some for others, but this suspicious looking package right here is actually the new shaft, and we got bearings, I think, in one of these boxes. So anyways, you can get all this stuff torn off of here and get the new shaft out, cut it to length, reassemble the whole shaft assembly, and then get it back in the buggy. All right, we got this as far apart as we need to get it. As I stated in the other video, this sprocket is actually welded to this shaft here. So I touched on this a little bit before, but I'm going to mention it again. The reason I believe that this shaft broke is from the welding. There's no reason this shaft should have snapped off. I mean, the axle shaft here is smaller in diameter than this. So this shaft shouldn't have broke. But I did weld right here, and I'm pretty sure just the heat stress from the welding is what caused the shaft to break. So the reason I welded it, and you say, well, why did you weld it? Well, the thickness of this sprocket with the hub on it is about 1.5 inches. So your keyway length here between the sprocket and the shaft is only 1.5 inches long, and I kept shearing that key. It's the shortest key in this whole setup. These keys on here are about 3 inches. The key on the brake hub is about 3 inches. This is 1.5 inches. So this is what would always fail, the key on this. You say, well, not a big deal, just replace the key. Well, pain in the butt to get this shaft all out and replace the key all the time. And I mean, it was like every half hour of riding, you break a key. Anytime I got on it hard or got stuck or anything, I'd break a key. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this back off flush across here, clean up the bore however I need to get the weld all out of there. And then I've got various other hubs that have a 1-inch bore. So I'm going to cut a hub off, either this, I've got some sprockets down there, some other things. I'm going to cut a hub off of something I don't care about, and then add whatever this thickness is here, weld it onto this sprocket so that I extend the key another maybe 3/8, half an inch, whatever this is here, without having to weld to the shaft itself. The sprocket is much stronger than the shaft. It's a much larger piece of metal, so I'm not expecting any breakage on the sprocket because we won't be heat stressing the shaft. So anyways, that's the plan. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this in the vise, get this cut off of here, and then I did measure this. You saw me using the calipers. I measured this thickness here. This is 1 3/4 of an inch. I set my calipers to that. I wrote down all the other measurements so I get everything set back up in the shaft the right way. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we'll keep going with this. Well, cut that off. I was going to use an angle grinder, but that wasn't really working very well just because of clearance issues with the sprocket and stuff. So I ended up putting it in the bandsaw, and that worked really well. I was going to show you here. This is kind of interesting. I don't know if we can see it. Focus. Maybe turn the light off. There we go. This is pretty interesting. First of all, my weld is really crappy. I don't know what I used to weld this, but evidently I didn't like it. Anyways, see this cracks in the shaft? That might be part of the problem. The shaft was weak anyways, probably from just prior abuse when the key broke. So that's pretty interesting right there. You can see these two little cracks going down through. So I'm sure that didn't help the strength of the shaft at all. So we're going to see if we can get this shaft pounded down out of here and then clean this up a little bit, make it smooth again, and go from there. Alright guys, so let me show you what's going on. I didn't realize, let me get the light on. Previously, when this had broke a keyway, or broke the key like 2 repairs prior, this sprocket spun on the shaft, and it hogged out the inside of here pretty good, to the point where this sprocket is junk because it's pretty loose on the shaft. So, went to my local tractor and equipment supply store. Bet you can't guess what the actual name of that is. And picked up this sprocket, which is like 1 tooth less than this. It's not really going to make that much of a difference. It's essentially just going to be a little bit faster. It's going to gear it up a little bit, which is probably better because it's not going to have as much torque. It won't break stuff as easily. So anyways, we got that, and then I got this hub, which is actually 1/4 of an inch too small. So we got these are 1 inch thick, or 1/8 of an inch thick. We're gonna put these in here, 4 of them for spacers, which will put the hub right in the middle. We'll fill the gap in with weld the hub solid to this, and then we'll get this mounted on the shaft and get everything assembled and get it thrown back in the rig. Alright, so we got this rigged up here. Basically, we need this face of the sprocket 1 1/16 from the end of the collar. So with the 1/8 inch plate and the 15/16 nut, that makes the correct spacing. So we have 3 of those holding the sprocket up, and then we have 1/8 inch angle creating the 1/8 inch spacer all the way around, so we know the hub is fairly centric to the sprocket. So we're going to go ahead and get this tacked up. All right, we got this thing all welded up. I'm not gonna touch it because it's hot, but I think it'll work out good. I'm gonna go ahead and start reassembling this, and then we'll get it thrown back in the buggy. Alright, I'm going to kind of update you on what's going on here. So, I got this sprocket on. Basically, I've had to fight with everything. When I took this shaft apart, everything came right apart. And I got the new shaft, and I'm having hard time struggling with everything. And what I've actually determined is whoever manufactured this shaft did not get the keyway cut deep enough. So every time I put a key in, I've had to sand the key down significantly, take material off it, make it thinner so that the sprocket, the hub, whatever actually goes on. So that's been a real pain. It took me 2 hours to get this sprocket on because of how long it took me to machine the key down, which of course I don't have anything to machine with, so it's just a matter of a lot of sanding. So after 2 hours I finally got the hub on and then realized I put it on backwards. So I gotta get this sprocket back off and flip it around and put it on the correct way, and then basically just continue on from there. And so that's what we're dealing with. We're going to pick up here and get this sprocket off and hopefully get this thing put back together the rest of the way. Alright, I finally got this on here, I think. The sprocket's turned around. I think I got this key ground down far enough to accept this. So we should be ready. I'm gonna put this in the buggy without this half shaft on. I can put that on afterwards. So we're gonna get this hopefully thrown up in the buggy, in the chassis, and get it bolted down, get the chain hooked up, and so on. Alright, so I got that in. It's all loose still. The bolts are loose. I gotta tension the chain and tighten the bolts. There's just slots in the frame here. So it's kind of a pain. Gotta hook ratchet straps up, pull it, measure it, make sure it's straight, all that stuff. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but that's the next step. I got the brake caliper up here. We gotta get that mounted to the bracket. So coming together. Got it back together. I'm gonna try to take it for a test drive. I am like super stoked. It's been 3-4 years since I've driven this thing. So I'm really excited to see what happens. Kind of nervous because don't really want to break it again right away. So we do have a little fresh coating of snow outside. So that'll be kind of fun. So I'll get it started up here. success. Seems to work pretty good. There's definitely some other things I'm going to have to address. The rear brake caliper is locked right up, so I'm going to have to put a new caliper on the rear. That's kind of why it seemed to be struggling to go a little bit. The brake rotor got hotter than the exhaust system, so that's a pretty good indication. It seems that I only ran it for about 5 minutes. We also have a training fluid leak, so I'm going to have to fix a line on that, but it actually goes, which is pretty cool. So there's going to be probably more videos. Hopefully at some point we'll be able to shoot a little more footage driving it around, maybe when the weather's nicer. Being a live axle setup, it doesn't like to go in the snow very well. It just kind of pushes the front end. It does much better on, non-slippery conditions. So anyways, stay tuned. There's going to be more videos to come. And thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.